something massive just hit silver, unstoppable. Silver's price jump just got another hit, and this will send it out of the park. Major disruptions are happening in the economy. In this video, I'm going to break this down to show you how this major crisis will make silver skyrocket. We don't wish bad things on the economy. We don't. We want to thrive as a country. We want things to go well. And at the same time, as silver stackers, when things go wrong, people turn to metals and they invest in precious metals. That brings the gold price up. That brings the silver price up. And that's why, as silver stackers, as those of us that hoard and stack this metal, we're always looking and we're digging into the weeds of what's going on in the economy. Now, this article from Reuters says Wall Street ends sharply lower as sticky inflation dims rate cut hopes. And this is going to help us break down exactly what's going on and how this is going to impact the price of silver, pushing it even higher than it already is right now on its upswing, that we're really enjoying this upswing. Let's start. This article says U.S. stocks tumbled to a lower close on Wednesday after hotter than expected inflation data threw cold water on hopes that the Federal Reserve would begin cutting rates as early as June. Right now, people are pushing that back to September. We've even heard from some banks December. And if that happens, if that is what is really coming down the pike for us, that's just one rate cut this year. So that means that these elevated rates, we're living with this for 2024. This article says all three major U.S. stock indexes veered sharply lower at the opening bell after the Labor Department's Consumer Price Index, the CPI report, landed north of consensus, meaning higher than was expected. And it's a reminder that inflation's road back down to the Fed's 2% target will remain a long and meandering one. Now, we are hoping as we work through this quantitative easing, quantitative tightening, soft landing, all of these phrases that we're constantly having thrown at us, we're hoping that this will be a smooth transition. And it's turning out that from the announcement we heard 3 weeks ago from the Fed saying, yeah, cuts are coming in June, it's turning out that as the data pours in, well, actually, not only are we as silver stackers becoming skeptical, but central banks all over this globe, we live in a global economy, and central banks everywhere are staring at the U.S. and waiting to see what happens with rate cuts. Typically, the U.S. takes the lead. And not only do we take the lead with rate hikes, which we have in the past 2 years, but now we're taking the lead on rate cuts, or we're hoping to take the lead because there's some countries that are not waiting for us. Let's continue with this article. The article says the stickiness of inflation data caused a sell first, ask questions later mentality. And that is the type of trigger that we see with Wall Street and any announcement with the Fed, right? We as regular people in the trenches, normal everyday people, we are interested in what's going on with the Fed, but we are not in the position to actually pull the trigger on any events. And Wall Street, clearly, especially as we've seen in the past months, any statement that comes from Powell, Wall Street reacts immediately. And it's incredible. I mean, it really shows how much power an unelected and appointed official like Jerome Powell has. I mean, the economy is really in his hands in many regards. The article says minutes from the Fed's March policy meeting reflected concerns that inflation's progress toward that target might have stalled, and restrictive monetary policy may need to be maintained for longer than anticipated. And this is where silver is really going to remain strong and keep going up. I mean, look what's happened. Look what we've had just in the past 4 to 6 weeks. Typically, precious metals in general will follow interest rates. But as the interest rates have been held and quite stagnant for so long, we're really seeing something unique in precious metals, in silver and gold, where they're starting to set their own pathway. Now, of course, interest rates are not all that impact silver and gold. We have wars going on throughout this globe. We have struggles with regional banks that are about to crash. We have a commercial real estate market that is just shaking and ready to come down. So all of that is impacting, all of that is impacting the price that we're seeing now. And as that continues and rolls out in 2024, gold and silver are going to keep going up because it's the uncertainty and it's the disruption to the economy that always makes people turn to this silver that I'm holding in my hand. That historically, that is what we always see. I've been stacking for years and years. And oh, by the way, if you're appreciating this content, please hit the like button, hit subscribe. It really means a lot. It helps get this information out there when you do that. Now, as everything is shown to us with all of this uncertainty around us, that's when people turn to precious metals. And that's when we begin to be our own bank. And looking now at the perspective of interest rates remaining high until September, possibly December, that is really a massive shift to what is expected and what we are being told is going to happen. And when all that uncertainty is presented with us, people go into silver, and that pushes the demand for silver up. It pushes the price, just like we're experiencing now, that upswing in silver. It pushes it up again, and that's what I see coming as 2024 rolls out. I see another swing for silver. I absolutely believe that in the next couple of weeks, silver will correct from its recent increase. I see a correction coming, but seeing now with this news coming out today about interest rates likely to stay high through the summer and looking at fall, possibly even December as a first cut in rates, that tells me that we're going to get another push for the price of silver, and it's going to keep going higher. Now, that's good news for silver. It's nobody wants this type of uncertainty, right? Nobody wants an economy that is contracting. We don't want that. But as silver stackers, as those of us that watch this price of silver and we're staring at it and we're waiting to see what happens, this tells us that we are going to get another hit to silver that is going to bring that price up. I mean, even today in this article here in Reuters, it says equity prices were further pressured by benchmark treasury yields, which breached 4.5% to touch the highest level since November. Interest rate sensitive stocks were hardest hit, with real estate primed for its biggest one-day percentage drop since 2022. Typically, when we think of an asset, a physical asset that we can hold in our hands, we think of real estate and we think of precious metals. People are not going to real estate, and they're not going to this spring. It's already April. We're already in the middle of April, and the real estate market is still struggling, waiting for those mortgages to come down. A 7% mortgage, that's what people are looking at, 7%. And that brings people away from real estate and in to this metal that I'm showing you on your screen, into silver and into gold. Gold is still at a solid record high. It's going to remain there. I see a slight correction in gold, just like I can foresee a slight correction in silver. I do see that because historically that's typically what happens. We see a correction and it'll hover and hold at a certain level until it goes up again. As this news comes out about interest rates being pushed back, that just solidifies that history is repeating itself, and that we will absolutely see a correction in price, and then we will see another bump up as all of this uncertainty hits people and everyone realizes, wow, I need to put my money into something that is a safe store of wealth like silver and gold.